Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of Ghosts, Creatures, and Scares Oh My. This episode is called The Winchester Mystery House.
In this podcast, we take the entity featured in each episode of the popular show Supernatural and explore creepy, real life stories, myths, and legends that surround the theme.
This week we're looking at episode 21 of season 1 of Supernatural called Salvation. Sam has a vision of a family being attacked in the same manner as the attack on his mother, so he, Dean, and John head off to Salvation, Iowa, to save this family and finally kill the demon using the Colt gun. However, Meg calls and lets the family know she is going to start killing their friends unless they return the gun. John meets Meg to deliver a fake gun, while the boys are left to deal with the demon.
I've just realised that well, I haven't just realised, but when we do these episodes, we always say, right, okay, we're going to look at this episode, and then we're kind of dive off into other things, don't we? But we've said that from the start, haven't we? We're not a supernatural, even though we take the element based in the episode of Supernatural, we don't dissect the episodes themselves.
Yeah, it's probably more worth taking a look at the entities from the episode
Yeah, that's fair to
rather
say,
than the
isn't
episode
it?
itself. So it's
And
still linked.
and sometimes we do keep it really close to the episode, but sometimes you have to go on a tenuous link, and that's kind of what we're doing today. Um, this is the penultimate episode of season one, so I've often find in the end two episodes of Supernatural and sometimes the beginning episodes of the following season, rather than it being an individual hunt for a certain type of monster or legend, they return to the overarching story, which tends to be hunting down the dad and finding this demon that's responsible for the killing of the mother. Am I
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah, and
Yes.
Sam's girlfriend.
And Sam's girlfriend, Jess.
Yeah,
Look at
look at
me.
you.
It's almost as though I was doing a podcast about it. Well, it's been a good week for us, hasn't it? This week, we had Halloween,
Yeah,
which was nice. Quite a few trick or treaters round our way, which was we knew
insane
there would
amounts.
be.
Yeah,
We took our little girl out for a little wander around. The streets that we live on, they do Halloween really well for the UK, don't they? And I
yeah,
think a lot of people do come and see the decorations, and it's I always feel a little bit like the mam on the Grinch. Do you know the Grinch, where the next door neighbours just got these amazing decorations?
yeah.
That's a bit like us, isn't it?
I was a decent, but the next door neighbours are really good.
Yeah, like our neighbours have the most like incredible Halloween decorations, and I'm just like looking at our pumpkin. No, but everyone makes a really good effort, and we've been watching, trying to get into just to finish off the Halloween watching. We watched Bodies, didn't we? Which was on Netflix with Stephen Graham.
Yeah,
Thoroughly would recommend that
yeah,
actually.
it's very good. Really, really good.
Really good. So we had bonfire night last night, but when we're recording this, it was bonfire last night. So yeah, we're heading very quickly towards Christmas now.
Yeah, we've started on the Halloween Christmas films, which is Nightmare Before Christmas and Krampus, to
We've done
sort of
those
start
two.
transitioning into the Christmas watch.
Yeah, that's it. So should we dive in?
Yeah,
So, as I've just discussed, we are pretty much at the end of season one. Because there's not necessarily a specific entity in this episode, I've very tenuously clung on to the aspect of the gun. Now, the gun used is a Colt gun, but I heard the word gun. The surname is Winchester. So, can you guess where I'm going with that?
Winchester rifle.
Yeah, so I've decided to do a bit of a wild card episode on the Winchester Mystery House. Now, people tell us, all of our many fans, which is my mum and sister, that they quite like when we do episodes that are a bit like they really enjoyed the Halloween Cecil episode, the hotel.
Yeah,
My sister, she said she really liked, I remember it was a while ago, the Enfield Haunting House.
yeah.
So we're going to give it the Winchester Mystery House a bit of a whirl. So what do you know about it?
Well, we've seen the film with Helen Mirren about it. Obviously, it's about a house with loads of rooms that are interchangeable, or like they've all sort of got their own like unique sort of thing about them. Like each room's built to house a ghost or something like that. No?
Yeah, kind of. It's pretty much that. Like it's a bit like an old fashioned, well, it's a bit like an epic version of the haunted house. In South Shields where we live, well, near where we live, and there's the that weird kind of little house in the fair.
Yeah,
Where everything's on a slant and things. I used to be obsessed with that when I was younger. Like Fun House, that's what I was looking for. So it's a bit like that. The film you're talking about is from 2013 with Helen Mirren and Jason Clarke, and we also see BuzzFeed, Shane and Ryan do an episode on the Winchester Mystery Houses. I think that's what we've seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a bit like a well, we're gonna get into exactly what it is, but it reminds me a little bit of 13 Ghosts. Remember that film?
Oh yeah.
Where there was like I think that film was inspired by it, if I'm right.
Is that one where it's all like a glass house?
It's a glass, but I mean this house isn't a glass house, but it's the idea that it's a different I suppose 13 Ghosts meets Harry Potter Hogwarts, where all the look at me doing a Harry Potter reference where
I
the
know.
staircases are all like strange and leading to random doors that aren't really doors and things. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very strange. And I must say though, the film wasn't well received. It wasn't a good film.
I can't remember it very well, so yeah, probably.
It got well, I say it got slated. It wasn't as bad as these people like to make it out because these people who slate these films are the type of people who are going to tell me that Hereditary is a work of
Yeah.
art. Do you know what I
Art,
mean? These people
arty
are,
films, isn't it?
yeah, I can't deal with it. Whereas it's a bit of a rubbish horror, but I think it's quite scary because it's got the Civil War soldiers come back to life and stuff, which I think is creepy.
Yeah.
But I don't think much of Helen Mirren, and I'm going to put that out there.
Shocking.
She's a lovely person, and I suppose good at what she does, I suppose. But I don't know. I don't rate her as an actress.
No.
And that's a bit of I know it's a bit of a controversial
Yeah,
one.
she's Dame Helen Mirren for a reason.
Yeah, I just don't. I don't get it. Not no Judy Dench. But yeah, so anyway, this house, if you Google it, if in your head you're thinking haunted mansion vibes, it's nothing like that in terms of how it looks aesthetically. Imagine beautiful yellow painted panels, greens, this beautiful red roof, but it hides quite dark secrets, and it's based. The house is you'll find it in San Jose, California. So a bit of a background. It makes sense to start off before we dive into the house. Where did the house come from? Well, to do that, we kind of have to look at the gun first. So, the Winchester rifle is a comprehensive term describing a series of lever action repeating rifles that were manufactured by the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. They were developed from the 1860 Henry rifle. Winchester rifles were among the earliest repeaters. Now, what does that mean? I'm guessing that means you don't have to reload your
I was,
bullet after.
well, you have to have you've got to, I think you've got to reload the bullet, but it's got
Hmm.
multiple bullets in the chamber, so it's like
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
what I
sort of like a
meant.
bit like a shotgun.
Yeah,
So it's like a rifle, like it's a bit like that. So you don't have to keep putting a bullet in after each
it's got
shot,
a
but it's
barrel.
got to be like sort of clicked to go again, so it repeats.
I see. All right, okay, I'm with you. Um, you get your gun knowledge from like I'm guessing Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty.
The model 1873 was particularly successful and it was marketed by the manufacturer as the gun that won the West. It was used in the American Civil War and it was described as a Yankee gun loaded on a Sunday and shot all week. So these guns were really successful in pretty much were used by the Yankee side, the North,
Yeah,
against the South during the Civil War. I mean, I don't know much about the Civil War, but in that time in history in America, it was a gun that the Confederates, am I right in saying, I'm sure, Confederate army at the South were there would have been fearful of this gun because it was quite like a new technology,
yeah,
and it it earned the family who made it so much money. It's unbelievable. They were absolute tycoons, rolling in money because of this the success of this gun.
yeah,
And this is where it all starts because the theme throughout this episode is guilt and the idea that all this money came from the lives and blood of dead people.
yeah. Because isn't that what sort of Helen Mirren's character is supposed to be about in it? And that's why she
Yeah,
does the house.
Sarah Winchester.
Yeah.
So today the house in question is known as the Winchester Mystery House, but at the time of its construction it was simply Sarah Winchester's house. So before we dive into it, interesting fact that I can't verify, and I don't know if I've made this up, so someone tell me if I'm talking rubbish, which is likely. But I did remember hearing that Walt Disney based his haunted mansion on this house.
Um,
Or was that the Sally house? Was it maybe a combination of the two? Because obviously it's based in New Orleans. It's meant to be like a New Orleans mansion, isn't it? But I'm
doesn't that get
sure.
mentioned in the Walt Disney film?
Yeah, but I'm
And
sure.
I can't remember which house it says.
I'm sure it's the Winchester Mystery House. I'm sure Walt Disney heard of this house and it wanted this inspired him to create the Haunted Mansion Disney ride.
Yeah.
Could be wrong, but so anyway, we're going to dive into the story. So, I took this from All That's Interesting, and over the course of 40 years, Sarah Winchester had the so-called Winchester Mansion built in San Jose to her bizarre specifications, in order to appease the ghosts she thought were haunting her. There was no plan, no official blueprints were drawn up, no architectural vision was created, and yet a once unfinished house took shape on a sprawling lot in the heart of San Jose, California. Inside, staircases ascended through several levels before ending abruptly, doorways opened to blank walls, and corners rounded to dead ends. So yeah, it was like a really like mismatch house. It just had no, it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm sure in the like in the film it's like that sort of like in boxes and they can get like they can be moved round.
Oh, I don't know
I feel
about
like maybe
that.
that's
You
because
could
of
be
the get
right. Yeah, maybe. I don't
some
know.
sure it's something like
She
that.
had things where it was like different doors would lead to the same bathroom, and then some doors would just lead. You would think you were opening a door, and it was actually
A wall.
the outside. And I'm sure
Yeah.
someone felt it,
Aye.
didn't they?
That does ring a bell. Where the door leads to the outside.
I think, and it
Like
was
the
all to
second
confuse
story
the
or
ghost,
something,
wasn't
yeah.
it? Because she was obsessed with the ghost, and she thought that if she could confuse them, there wouldn't be to find her bedroom. I'm sure her bedroom was the hardest, like a labyrinth to find the bedroom,
Yeah.
because she thought the ghost would spend like kind of all night trying to find it. It's this is like eccentric millionaires or billionaires.
Aye.
Do you know what I mean?
Aye. If you had loads of money.
I mean, I don't think I would do this, but why not?
Yeah.
I was bored. The house was the brainchild of Sarah Winchester, heir to the marriage back to the Winchester firearms fortune. Sorry, heir by marriage to the Winchester firearms fortune. So she married into money,
Yeah.
basically. And since the project began in 1884, rumours have swirled about the construction, the inhabitants, and the seemingly endless maze that sits at 525 South Winchester Boulevard in San Jose. Sarah Winchester was the widow of William Wirt Winchester, heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company. Born around 1840, Sarah Winchester grew up in a world of privilege. She spoke four languages, attended the best schools around, married well, and eventually gave birth to a daughter, Annie. However, tragedy struck in her late 20s when Annie died, followed by the death of Sarah's husband, William, more than a decade later. So she lost a daughter. Actually, she only had one child, young, and
Hmm.
the husband died about 12 years later, quite prematurely as well. I think he was only in his late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
So she became a widow quite early on. And often in those times, it wasn't really uncommon for women of that age to remarry, but I don't think she did. I think she was very consumed by guilt, and
Yeah.
guilt, grief, and she reminds me of a bit like a Queen Victoria character with the black and the veil, like
Yeah.
she was perpetually mourning the loss of her beloved family. And obviously that had a massive effect on her mental health. So after William's death in 1881, Sarah inherited $20 million, over 500 million in today's dollars, as well as 50% of the Winchester Arms Company. Now, listen to this bit, which left her with an income equal to £1,000 a day, or $26,000 a day in 2019 dollars. Sorry, I said pounds there. So $1,000 a day, which is equivalent to $26 a day in today's money.
That's nuts, isn't it?
Yeah.
Imagine that. $26,000 per
hmm
day.
That is insane, isn't it?
That was in 2019.
Yeah.
Could be more now.
I know that's true. It's like a lot of money. Newly in possession of a massive fortune and struggling with the loss of her husband and daughter, she sought the advice of a medium. She hoped perhaps to get advice from beyond as to how to spend her fortune or what to do with her life, though the exact specifics remain between Sarah Winchester and her medium. The story goes that the medium was able to channel dearly departed William, who advised Sarah to leave her home in New Haven, Connecticut, and head west to California. As far as what she was to do with her money, William answered that too. She was to use the fortune to build a home for the spirits of those who had fallen victim to Winchester rifles. Then she wouldn't be haunted by them for the rest of her life. In 1884, Sarah Winchester purchased what would later become known as the Winchester Mystery House. At the time of the sale, the house was a small, unfinished farmhouse, but that quickly changed. So, very similar to a lot of people of her time period, she, after experiencing loss, she got a little bit obsessed with, well, very obsessed with mediums and the practice of mediumship.
Hmm.
because she was desperate to reach out to her lost loved ones. So apparently her husband said from beyond the grave, you've got to leave upstate New York, head west. So she ended up in San Jose, California, and to build this house to appease anyone who's been killed by the rifle, because which apparently if anyone who'd been killed by the rifle, I suppose it was blood money. That's how it was viewed upon.
Yeah, if you've made the gun that killed someone,
Hmm.
part of the blame can fall back on them, I suppose.
And I mean, for me, no, absolutely no offense to anyone who's listening to this, because there very well might be people who listen to this who are mediums or who believe in that kind of thing. I don't. I'm quite a skeptical person. So, what has this medium got to gain from saying that? Like, it's not as if she's saying, "Oh, your husband says that you should give me a lot of money, and I can come and speak to you every day." Or,
Maybe they're just having a joke. I think you should like buy a house and just make loads of random rooms.
unless they owned the farmhouse and couldn't
She was
split.
like, there's no chance she'll actually go and do this. 10
Yeah,
years later, like, oh, she did.
yeah.
She never stopped.
I don't know. It's strange. I always find that strange when people say things like that, and you're like, well, why would they lie about that? I don't know. It's a bit of a funny one. So Winchester, she hired carpenters to work around the clock. She expanded the small house into a seven-story mansion, and due to the lack of a plan and the presence of an architect, the house was constructed haphazardly. Rooms were added onto exterior walls, resulting in windows overlooking other rooms. Multiple staircases would be added, all with different sized risers, giving each staircase a distorted look. Stranger so was the fact that many of the alterations seemed pointless. Staircases would ascend several levels, then end abruptly. Doors would open to solid walls, and hallways would turn a corner and end in a dead end. Additionally, Winchester insisted that the home be built exclusively out of redwood. However, she didn't like the look of the wood, so she insisted it be covered with a stain and a faux grain. So that must be where the painted the wood the beautiful yellow and green color,
Yeah.
which I think is nice effect, to be honest. Um, by the time the house was completed, over 20,000 gallons of paint had been used to cover the wood. So there's just so much money being poured into this. I suppose you could argue she's keeping the local tradespeople in business.
Yeah, she's making $26,000. Well, the equivalent of
Yeah.
$26,000 a day.
Hmm.
Crack on.
And there's no harm done, I don't think, because you could say it's disgusting and the money. I mean, I personally think the money would have been better. I just think it's ridiculous. If you are so feeling so much guilt about all these people who've died from
You'd
a
give it to like
rifle,
charities, wouldn't you?
give it to the family members who've
Uh,
lost people,
yeah,
war, like civil war, like what are they called?
veterans.
Veterans, yeah, veteran charities who've lost, or people who've widows of war. I just think that's ridiculous. But if I could go back in time, I'd tell her.
You'd get it all.
Get her told. And by the turn of the century, Sarah Winchester had her ghost house, an oddly laid out mansion with 7 stories, 161 rooms, 47 fireplaces, 10,000 panes of glass, two basements, three elevators, and a mysterious fun house like interior. Anyone who set foot in the home could tell that no expense had been spared. Now, this is my favourite bit. Gold and silver chandeliers hung from the ceilings above, hand inlaid parquet flooring, dozens of artful stained glass windows created by Tiffany and Co. dotted the walls, including some designed by Louis Comfort Tiffany himself. So the creator of Tiffany's actually designed these.
Some of the windows.
I think that's amazing because I love stained glass. I love stuff. I love opulence like that. So I
Uh,
do like that.
I bet they were not cheap.
Oh no, not at all. And one window in particular was intended to create a prismatic rainbow effect on the floor when light flowed through it. Of course, the window ended up on an interior wall, and thus the effect was never achieved.
A waste.
Oh gosh, stupid. Even more luxurious than the fixtures was the plumbing and electrical work. Rare for the time, the Winchester Mystery House boasted indoor plumbing, including coveted hot running water and push button gas lighting available throughout the home. Additionally, forced air heating flowed throughout the house, so this would have been very rare for the time.
Yeah.
So it literally was like a dream house, apart from it being very odd. It was just the top of the range, you know, kind of thing. Unfortunately, in the early 1900s, an earthquake struck San Jose, and the Winchester Mystery House sustained a hefty amount of damage. Thanks to the floating foundation, a foundation that equals the weight of the surrounding soil, the entire house was saved from collapse. So, this was because of the way it was built, it was actually saved from this really terrible earthquake.
Which is mad considering they didn't use an architect.
Yeah, I know.
I wonder if that was just
She
being
dumb
jammy.
luck
Yeah.
or like the ingenuity of the local
Aye.
carpenter. I don't know.
Someone somewhere
Yeah.
knew what they were doing.
Maybe the ghosts were watching out for her
Aye, maybe.
and just started to recoup some good luck. I don't know.
Or they just didn't fancy having the rooms destroyed after they just got them.
Yeah. The top three floors were ultimately removed, leaving the house with only 4 stories as seen today. So they did lose
They did
three
lose quite a bit.
floors. I mean, if you see the house, I think 7 stories would have looked a bit severe. 7 stories, sorry.
I feel like a hotel more than a house.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, imagine staying in that hotel. I can't find my room in a hotel, in in a normal hotel. But imagine,
Especially considering all the doors and
oh, I'd be there.
rooms
I'd
to
be there for a year,
never get
just
out.
in the corner.
I'd be lost. I'd probably have to make one of the rooms permanent.
Yeah, I still came here 84 years ago.
Never leaving.
So yeah, so a haunted legacy in the famed San Jose estate is a 1900 postcard of the place that shows a tower that was later toppled by the natural disaster. That tower, plus several other rooms destroyed in the disaster, were never rebuilt, but cordoned off. And as for Sarah, she was safe, but she was stuck in the Daisy bedroom, named for the floral motif on its windows. She had to be dug out by her staff as its entranceway was blocked off by rubble. And throughout the years long construction of the Winchester Mystery House, Sarah Winchester could never confirm that she was building a haunted house. However, stories and rumours swirled throughout San Jose. So people were saying this house is the work of the devil, you can imagine.
Aye.
Work of the devil. It's a portal to hell was passed around. It was a house of ill repute in terms of the demonic satanic worships going on and stuff. But she said that's not the case. It's just a house that I've been driven to build. You can
Yeah,
understand
you
where
can
the
understand where they
rumours.
were coming from, like if that's what she was saying.
Yeah,
Ghosts told us to make it.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
So the contractors who worked on the house reported that Sarah Winchester was having daily seances with local mediums in an effort to reach good
for
spirits.
never reason.
Yeah, that would do it. These good spirits were reportedly consulted to find out how to best appease the spirits who she was allegedly building the house for. So let me get my head around this. So it's the bad spirits she's building the house to appease, to stop
Yeah,
them cursing her. So she reaches out to good spirits to get spiritual advice from them
guidance.
about how to trick these
Mm.
ghosts, how to appease them.
Gonna make them happy.
Yeah, I feel like these mediums now I understand what the mediums are after. They were probably getting paid a fortune to be on hand to give daily seances. That would
Yeah,
be they probably had a room in that house, and their main job, instead of having to peddle a living by conning people, they just had this brilliant golden egg, really.
yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
would be in like a easy making, really, wouldn't
And
it?
now I understand because if they were to say to her, actually, Sarah, chill, you've done enough now, they would probably get sent packing. It's in their best interest to keep her building,
Yeah.
keep her coming back to the
Well,
seances.
there's never four ghosts this week.
Eh,
You know, we have to build some more rooms.
Need an extra bathroom on aisle
Can
three.
I get an ensuite?
Yeah, that's 100% to her. Um, so these spirits are reportedly what called Winchester to make so many illogical additions to the home. Far after the construction was completed, Winchester continued to make efforts to appease the victims of the Winchester rifles. Out of the 13 bathrooms in the home, only one was functional. So 12 of these bathrooms were just kind of show bathrooms. Oh, that's a bit like a bad dream, isn't it, when you need the toilet?
Imagine you running in like, what? Why is this one not working? Where's the toilet?
Next one.
I run along the next one again. I know.
Why is that like Russian roulette? Like,
I sprint around the house in the middle of the night looking for the toilet that works.
that's going to be my nightmare tonight. Um, it was an effort to confuse the ghost wishing to haunt him.
Just messing with them.
Ghosts don't
Like,
need
you're
the
gonna
toilet.
haunt me, I'm gonna mess with you. You need a toilet in the middle of the night? Ain't gonna
Yeah.
happen.
um, Furthermore, she would sleep in a different room every night. Oh yes, that rings a bell. She slept in a different bedroom every night and
But
rotated
if
it.
you've got that many rooms, you might as well.
Yeah, but that's a nightmare for housekeeping. And she used a secret passageway to get from room to room so no spirits could follow her. So every night she would randomly pick a new room so that she'd confuse them.
So was the secret passageway going like throughout the entire house?
I think she had like
So she
loads of
had
different.
one actual passageway that actually could like navigate around everywhere.
I don't know if it's definite, but I think she had different like secret passageways and behind the walls and
Be a
things.
nightmare for ghosts found it.
I don't. After her death, sorry, in the years Sarah Winchester lived in the house, the residents of San Jose whispered about its strange construction and even stranger inhabitant. But it was in the years after her death that the wild stories became even wilder. After her death in September of 1922, Sarah Winchester left all of her belongings to her niece Marion, who had served as her personal secretary later in life. However, the Winchester Mystery House was never mentioned in her will, adding to the mystery of the home. After appraisers deemed the house worthless due to its strange design, damage from the earthquake, and long winded construction, Marion took everything in it and auctioned it off. The current owners of the house claim it took 6 weeks to empty the house of all furniture, though the report is uncorroborated. I feel like that's really silly to do because I don't think I think the reason she hasn't left her the house is because she thinks it belongs to the spirits.
Yeah,
That would be my instinct. But why would I mean, I suppose what you're going to do with this house, but I think she's missed a trick by selling that.
yeah.
I mean, she probably had a lot
Definitely.
of money
Well,
still.
it says that they didn't she didn't leave it to us, so she wouldn't have sold it. It would have been sold off by the
Oh,
like
I
the
see.
bank or something,
So
wouldn't it?
she's been left all the
So she's been
items.
left all the items of it. So
I
she's went, all
know,
right, well, if
just
I'm
have
not having the
it.
house, then I'm gonna come and take all the items from you.
Fair enough. After that, I can imagine though it took 6 months to get everything out because they probably would have thought they were finished and just found different rooms,
Yeah,
which is evident coming up. So after the house was emptied, a local investor purchased the home for a cool $135,000. That seems very low,
yeah.
but in
What
those
when would it have
days,
been?
probably the mid 20s.
So I
But still,
mean,
that
like,
seems,
no, it is low, really. But I mean, that's probably now what like got to be around a million or something, isn't it?
yeah, I suppose it's been down. It's
Like if it's damage from earthquakes, falling to
yeah,
pieces, like you've got rooms that don't link to each other. Only one room
yeah,
actually has.
true,
There's one bathroom in the entire
true.
place.
It's a bit of a random,
Uh,
yeah, money pit. Yeah, true,
you'd have
true.
to put a lot of money in to try and sort it out.
Yeah, and I think the main reason it was bought was to be like put on display.
Yeah,
So that it was very quickly it became because I wasn't before I looked into this, I thought it became a tourist attraction maybe recently, but it didn't. So just 5 months after Sarah Winchester died, the Winchester Mystery House was open to the public for tours. Despite it being fully emptied, refurnished, and open for business, the Winchester Mystery House still continued to surprise. While Sarah Winchester was alive, stories were told of a storage room in her home filled with over $25,000 and over $300,000 today's money worth of undisplayed riches, including a Tiffany window designed by Winchester herself, featuring a spiderweb design. That sounds nice. I do love Tiffany.
so based off that sort of workings out as well, that 125,000 would be 300 grand a day. Therefore, the 135 grand would be around 1.5 million.
That was really quick maths. It's almost like you didn't pause it to work that out.
Oh, like shocking that.
In 2016, a secret attic was discovered, though there's no proof it was the same storage room that the rumours are about. And inside the attic was a pump organ, a Victorian era couch, a dress form, a sewing machine, and various paintings. Why is it in these films where they have a secret attic, there's always like a figure, like a mannequin of a dress, like with like a body where they make dresses on. It's
Yeah,
always like
yeah. It's
everyone's
almost
like,
as if they want people to be scared.
yeah. A year later, rooms that were never opened to the public were put on display, including sections of the home that had remained unfinished at the time of her death. Even 95 years after her death, it seemed that Sarah Winchester's house was still holding on to some secrets, secrets that fuel pop culture's obsession with the house. So in 2018, not 2013 that I said before, I don't know where I got that from, Helen Mirren starred in Winchester as Sarah Winchester herself. The story took the rumours about the hauntings in the house and ran with them, depicting a woman crazed by the ghosts of Winchester rifles. Filming for the movie took place in the actual Winchester Mystery House. Additionally, the home has been used as a setting for numerous supernatural horror movies and novels, as its mere existence provides ample inspiration. Since her death, little has been uncovered about Sarah Winchester and the reasoning behind her obsession with building the Winchester Mystery House. She gave no interviews, left behind no journals. She had no family willing to speak about her. Occasionally, visitors to the Winchester mansion will report feeling the spirits that have long resided in the home, though, of course, paranormal investigations have turned up nothing. But perhaps there are still some spirits haunting the abode, maybe even Sarah Winchester herself. After all, she built the house for the restless dead. Why not take advantage of it herself? So before we go on to the next little bit, thoughts so far?
Well, I mean,
There's nothing I can't really say that you do believe in it because this is like a non-fiction one we've done.
yeah.
But do you feel sorry for her? Do you think she was right? Do you think she was being taken advantage of?
Don't know if she's been taken advantage of, but I feel
I
like
do.
there's got to have been some reason for why someone said like, "Oh, you've got to go and build this house full of loads of different rooms." Maybe the medium or whatever didn't actually say you've got to go and build a house with loads of different rooms. Maybe he said find a way to appease them all, and she's took that as well. I'll build a house and they can all have a room or something.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. I do think there's been an element of taking advantage though with on the medium's behalf.
Surely she should have just, like you said, give the money to the families if
Yeah,
she did
she
feel
could have
bad
created a
about it.
charity and really got involved, but I think she wasn't in her right mind. Which is understandable.
Yeah,
There was no really big support back then for mental health and grief, and you kind of just had to get on with it. And people wouldn't have felt sorry for her. They would have said, well, because child mortality was quite high anyway, and people would have said, well, you've got all this money, and we've lost children as well,
yeah,
and just get on with it. But sad, isn't
yeah.
it?
Definitely would have took a toll and stuff though, but
Definitely.
yeah,
So we're going to move on. Rumored real life hauntings at the house. It wouldn't really be us if we didn't try to shoehorn in some ghosts.
yeah,
So we're going to have a look at some alleged supernatural activity within the house. But I've just said there, and this is true. A lot of paranormal investigation teams. We'll talk about BuzzFeed, Shane and Ryan. They're a bit like us though, they don't really take it seriously, but a lot of like very serious people who believe in ghosts, like ghost hunters, have went there and it hasn't really showed up much,
yeah.
or they'll say it has and talk about ridiculous
Were
things,
they
but
able to find the way around the house?
well, Derek Cora probably would.
Oh.
Sam would have been like, the room on the left.
None left.
That toilet isn't flush.
Don't use that room.
Give it
Toilet.
5 minutes.
All the people there have got to just fill it around the one toilet.
Yeah, just loads of ghosts. So let's get into it. As legends pass down through the years, there are three types of haunting stories conjured from the ominously long hallways of Sarah's estate. So-called intelligent hauntings, residual hauntings, and shadow figures. So I think intelligent hauntings are ghosts that can kind of control, like poltergeists and ghosts. I think residual hauntings are like, you see a ghost repeating its last moment again and again. It's just kind of energy, like an imprint.
Yeah.
And obviously, shadow figures are shadow figures.
Really?
Yeah, funnily enough.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
Luckily, we've seen or heard no evidence of poltergeists and often malevolent members of the spirit realm. So these intelligent hauntings must be like ghosts who know how to figure out which. So I'm
The ones who
guessing
can find the way around the
they're
house.
the
Got to be
intelligent
kind of
ones.
intelligent, like to be fair.
Um, so residual hauntings. In this type of haunting, a spiritual playback is stuck on repeat. A moment from the past is played back over and over again like a video on loop. The events played back may be traumatic or life-changing to the person who experienced them, or they could be routine tasks the person performed many times. So it's like, do you know the ones we talked about very early on and when we started this podcast of who was it? Catherine Howard, when apparently one of Henry VIII's wife,
Yeah. Was running down
fifth
the
wife,
hall.
sorry. So she's just repeating that last part of her. Well, not it wasn't the last part of her life because she was in prison, but you know what I mean. It's replaying like quite a
Trying to get to Henry, wasn't she? Yeah. The
traumatic
traumatic bit
part of
just
your
before.
life. So they're not intelligent in that way. They're just like imprints repeating, stuck on repeat, basically.
Yeah.
So apparently in the grand ballroom in the chilly basement of the estate, these hauntings involve the famous wheelbarrow ghost who works on the fireplace or pushes a wheelbarrow full of ash or coal. So thoughts either on the idea of residual haunting, ghosts being stuck on a loop, or who could this wheelbarrow ghost have been in real life?
I mean, probably would have been like like a farmer gun, like lots of farmers. Maybe he was a farmer who was
A farmer
pushing.
gun?
I like the old gun that load of farmers use, like
Mm-hmm.
a Winchester.
Where's the
Isn't
gun coming from? He's a wheelbarrow ghost.
killed with the gun though?
Oh, so you oh, so okay, so
Like
you
so maybe it was like a farmer that was killed by like another farmer or
so
something like that.
you don't think he was actually killed in the house. You think he's a random spirit who's
Yeah, well,
traveled in the
that's what
house.
the main thing of a lot of them is going to be, isn't it? Really, that they're not supposed to have been killed in the house, but that
Mm-hmm.
they're supposed to have been killed somewhere else, and then
Okay.
like
And their
because of the
spirit's trapped,
gun,
she's conjured
yeah,
them to the
I think they're supposed
house.
to be technically trying to haunt her, aren't they? And showing
Ah,
her
I
the
see.
person who's died's last moments.
Ah, and that's really interesting because not that I believe in this ghost, but to me it could have been like a construction worker who's died in during the job.
Yeah, well, like I
You
said,
know, he's
aye.
trapped, but yeah, either way. So next we've got intelligent hauntings. In this type of haunting, there seems to be a consciousness behind the paranormal act, and the spirit is attempting to interact with the living world. Usually, they are no more than gentle tugs on shirts or skirts during tours, but long-time maintenance worker Denny, I don't trust him. What's that name of?
Denny.
I don't know, what's something. It's not off Scream, is it? It's not the brother.
No, no.
What's he? White.
Dwight, yeah. No,
No,
Dewey. Dewey.
Dewey.
Oh, that's on Scary Movie.
I thought it was Denny. Yeah. No offense to anyone who's called Denny. I just don't think it's a trustworthy name.
Aye.
That one morning after he entered the water tower, he heard the patter of footsteps above. He ascended to let the trespasser even know that the three-story structure was off limits, but the footsteps always seemed to be one step ahead of him and on one floor above. His search culminated in on the roof with no one in sight. So he's constantly hearing these footsteps.
Could have just been a rat.
Yeah, I mean, a big rat though.
Yeah, true, but I mean, if he's never seen it, and
Hmm.
I mean, like, probably not the best, is it?
No, like if I'll maybe believe it more if he said, and then eventually I got up onto the roof and there was this
I seen
figure.
a figure which suddenly
Yeah,
disappeared or something like
it's a
that.
bit more credible.
Yeah, rather than just going on, I kept hearing like pitter patter up above, and every
Yeah,
time I got there, it was gone.
yeah, because in that kind of house, it could just be anything, couldn't it? Like creaky
Yeah, especially for the
floorboards.
next one up, so roof. Could have
Yeah,
literally been, I don't know, something flapping on the roof.
but to play devil's advocate on that one, it could be that ghosts might not be likely to see a ghost, but you might be more likely to hear one, and it could be a
Yeah.
ghost who's lost trying to work out the corridor thing. I'm being serious.
Where am I, man, Denny? Which way do I go? I can't find the bathroom.
Don't,
None of them work.
don't trust Denny. He'll have you out on the window. Like. So lastly, shadow figures. The most commonly reported supernatural occurrence is the appearance of shadowy human-shaped manifestations, which we've covered before.
Yeah,
And probably the reason that they're the most common is because ghosts don't exist, in my opinion, and you're most likely to see a trick of the eye, which would naturally be a shadow rather than a fully formed figure, in my opinion.
yeah, yeah.
What seems like an "are my eyes playing tricks on me" moment may sometimes feel too real to ignore. Shadow figures are shadowy shapes that resemble people are purported to have been seen roaming around corridors, down long hallways, and appearing in windows. Speaking of windows, a former marketing director employed by the house captured the below photo in 2015. So this photo, it says below photo, but obviously you have a little Google of this one, see what you think. And what it is, it appears to be a human-shaped apparition looking out the front gardens. So if you just put in Winchester House window ghost, it comes up.
Hmm.
So we've got this in front of us now. I mean,
Doesn't really
first
look like much. Not
first
really.
glance, you could say, "Oh, is it an old-fashioned Edwardian type woman?" But it's just
You're
a
grasping at
smudge.
straws, really, like, aren't you? If you're trying to say that's
Got the
something.
tiniest waist ever.
This, like, I suppose it sort of looks like someone sort of like, no, like bending over a
like an
little bit.
old-fashioned
Yeah, it
gown.
does.
I do see that, and it actually looks a bit like Sarah Winchester herself in that kind of outfit, but
Yeah.
it's a smudge on the window, or or it's one of these beams of light that they talk about. But I don't know. Maybe I'm being too cynical on that. I don't know. Your thoughts?
No, I don't think that's a person in the window. Like, if it
So
could be the a mannequin, you know, what you're saying about the dress thing.
yeah, I don't think it's solid. I think it's a smudge on the window.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it's either a smudge or a beam of light that's caught the dust or something. So before we finish up, I found a couple of theories on the internet which I thought it's always worth to discuss. So, an alternate theory on the Winchester's house in its perplexing design declares that Sarah was creating a puzzle full of encryptions, actually inspired by the work of English philosopher Francis Bacon. There's speculation that clues to the house's true meaning are hidden in the ballroom, the Shakespeare windows, and the iron gates. The theory suggests that Sarah was a member of a mystic society like the Rosicrucians, never heard of that,
no,
Rosicrucians, or a secret society like the Freemasons, or possibly both. So, that one of the theories is that she was a Freemason or a stonemason. I think Freemason's a more modern term, isn't it?
yeah,
Which is based on the Illuminati group. We know these, but I thought, now I could be really being silly here. I thought you had to be a man to be a Freemason.
Freemason.
Maybe that's just
Yeah.
this country. I don't know.
Well,
In the
no,
UK,
yeah, I'm sure you used to have.
I'm sure you still have to be a man in the UK. And it tends to be, I mean, they let anyone in now, but at one time it was only like your police chiefs or lawyers and head teachers. It was really high up people in society, men.
I mean, she was pretty rich.
Yeah, maybe it's just sport entrance. I
Yeah.
don't know. Maybe
Maybe this is what it's
it's an
saying, where it's
offshot
like
of it.
a society that's like it. Maybe this was the one
Oh,
before.
like the Freemasons. I see. Yeah. We should probably could do a whole episode on the Freemasons, couldn't we?
There's probably enough stuff to,
I
yeah.
would love to do that because it fascinates me.
We'll start getting tracked down. People start peering outside the house, though.
Oh no,
Imagine.
I'll be wearing
Black
a
cars
tin
showing
hat.
up in the middle of the night.
I'd be ill. But they have like secret handshakes, don't they? So when apparently if they commit a crime, they can shake the police hand, and if they tap a certain pressure point, they know that they're both Freemasons.
Imagine if the police that were doing it, though, wasn't a Freemason. Think, what are you doing?
Well, no, I think they do it in a way that you wouldn't notice unless you were looking for it.
Oh, right.
But I don't know what it is. I don't know.
Well, I would imagine
Apparently,
that you don't know what it is.
yeah. But apparently, the garden's some kind of secret. So to finish up, one of the other theories is that she was obsessed with the number 13. So the Winchester house has many 13 paned windows, 13 panel ceilings, as well as 13 step stairways. Even her will had 13 parts, and she signed it 13 times. But the pièce de résistance may be the house's 13th bathroom, which contains 13 windows of its own.
What was done, there was three more floors.
What?
You used to have three more floors.
I don't get you.
So three more floors would have give you more windows and would have gave you more stairways, more panelled ceilings. So all of them wouldn't have just been.
No, each staircase had 13 steps. Windows had 13 panes. The panels would have been like a long paneled wall at 13 parts.
Oh yeah, no, that is weird.
So that's regardless of how high that it was. And she signed her will 13 times. So it's well known in house architecture that you don't tend to have a number 13 house
Right.
because it's deemed to be an unlucky number. So people
Aye.
don't build, and sometimes hotels don't have 13
13,
floors or
yeah.
flight
Rooms.
numbers, you know what I mean? People are really superstitious. So there was something about 13 to her that maybe, I don't know, she thought, I'll I'll face bad luck head on, and it can't, if I go for the 13, it won't possibly, nothing can possibly go wrong.
Yeah.
I'll trick fate.
Yeah, it's weird.
I
Like,
don't know how people's minds work. I
and maybe
don't
this
know.
entire thing was just being her being like, right, I don't want to be remembered for being the person linked with a gun that killed loads of people, so I'm just going to spend all my money doing something really weird and have people
Mm,
talking about it forever. And
good
now it's the
theory.
first thing that you talk about really with her would be this
Yeah.
house over the gun.
Yeah. Oh, I'm going to bring it back to the murderers. That instead of trying to help people, she just plundered it all into this home. I'll call her out.
Aye.
I shouldn't say this because she comes to haunt
As
me.
well say, don't
My
call it out
house is
too
not
much.
confusing anyone.
Yeah.
Straight up the stairs to the right. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ghost Creatures and Scares. Oh my! If you'd like to stay updated on episode releases, please do give us a follow on Instagram.
Next time we will be discussing the final episode based on season 1 of Supernatural. To round off the season, we'll take a closer look at the origin of hunting supernatural forces. See you soon. Hello, and welcome to episode 21 of Ghost Creatures and Scares Oh My. This episode is called The Winchester Mystery House.
In this podcast, we take the entity featured in each episode of the